Jason, we gotta do this thing.
Oh God. What am I doing? What do I do?
What do you mean? We're supposed to, we're doing this whole thing.
I know. The reality TV thing.
Exactly. So we gotta like show like who you are now versus who you were then, and okay, but who you were then? Yeah. You didn't have.
What?
You didn't have the beard. You didn't.
I was like 17.
Okay.
All right,
well,
let me take a shower and I'll clean up and I'll get a hat or something. I don't know. I was one of the few people to wear sideburns in the mid to late 80s. And then Beverly Hills 90210 came along and really changed everything. Friday the 13th, part 7. Jason shaves. It's always fun to shave because you sort of end up finding sometimes you have like a 19th century president.
Because now you have mutton chops.
Yeah, it's sort of a Chester A. Arthur thing I'm going for. I know the kids on the reality shows love the 19th century presidents. It's really hard to say that there was just one clique, and I was one of those people who I pretty much hated, groups that didn't offer me like an engraved invitation to join. So I just I was sort of at the center of the non-group, all the individuals who didn't really belong to any groups, and I sort of brought them together in a very informal fashion.
As a group?
More as a collection of people. If there was an apathy club on campus, I think I would have started one.
Just didn't care to, or?
Nah, why bother? Well, it's my theory that there's basically sort of, everyone's some kind of bird, and there's basically 3 types of birds. There's your ducks, your swans, and your eagles. And they constitute about 95% of the populace. So you got about 80% of the people are ducks. They're just regular people. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just ducks, right? They go in crowds, and they do their things, and they follow the mother, and they quack, and they swim, and whatever they do. Okay? Then you got about maybe 10% of your people are swans, and they're the really beautiful people who sometimes aren't very pleasant, but they're just very beautiful. They're very pretty to look at. And then you've got about 5% of people are eagles, and those are your leaders, your really dynamic, heroic people who you just know are going to succeed, but they're kind of above the fray at the same time, right? They don't need the attention of all the ducks and the swans. And at Westlake, it's like most of the ducks, wanted to be swans. Most of the swans thought they were eagles, and most of the eagles got by pretending they were ducks. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. I was an owl. Well, I was, I worked on the school newspaper. That's a very owl thing to do. I was editor for the second part of my senior year. I did a lot of drama. I was in jazz band, so I hung with the band nerds for about a year. And, I was very outspoken politically. So I think if there's anything that people might remember me for, it was being one of the 14 Democrats in a school of 2,200 Republicans, which I believe is the actual percentage. And then I would do the morning announcements every day, which people also might remember me for. But I would, always kind of use a different voice. I'd, imitate characters from Saturday Night Live and SCTV because I thought they were funnier. And no one ever got that. No one ever understood that. We did a Three Stooges thing once. No one got it. I think they just thought we were, really drunk or something, which we weren't. I wasn't allowed to drink, and I wasn't invited to any of the parties. So the yearbook sucked, man. It was like all juniors doing it my senior year, and everything was spelled. They spelled thespian wrong.
I was a junior your senior year.
Yeah, but you weren't on the yearbook.
Okay.
They spelled thespian with a B. This is better than a yearbook. This was the notebook of notes that I kept all through. I think this is junior and senior year, and then a bunch of poetry, observations. Oh. Mrs. Coda is a sadistic pig. I don't know if I said that or if someone else said that. Boy, I was an angry, angry young man. Here's a poem. This sort of captured my sexual frustration. It's called More Screaming. He goes, ah! No! And then I have a little picture of me writing this with my teeth gritting. And then it's, grrr! And this is high-pitched shrill, ah! Nash, nash, grrr! Woof! I hope you get the idea. I always treated the cheerleaders like they were the cheerleaders from the movies, but I didn't really know them. I mean, I wasn't invited to their parties. I didn't, I knew their names and I had them in some classes, but I never really had any real interaction with them. I just sort of assumed that they were evil, swans, basically. And I resented them for that. But I realize now that's not, their fault. They were just kids, and they were energetic and had a lot of school spirit, and they were pretty, and, they were probably very nice people once you got to know them.
Are these the kind of people you would want to see again after 20 some years?
Shannon would be cool to see. She works for SAG or the Writers Guild or something. She was another theater person. Mark Hoffer was the really great artist who drew all the cartoons in the yearbook. And he's someone who I was friends with for a couple of years afterwards, and I just completely lost track of. And he was a really funny guy. He'd be someone who I would love to spend some time with, just because he was always hilariously funny. And then, you sort of run into people on MySpace or Facebook or something, and it's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember you. And so now we're MySpace friends, but there's nothing to really connect to from the teenage years. If I could go back and practice, like the 17-year-old me can practice a little bit, then maybe in a few years I could go back to all the girls I never talked to in college, and I could make some progress with them. So then I could go into the workplace and then back into graduate school, and eventually I'll catch up to myself by the time I'm about 82, and I'll meet someone, and I'll be ready to settle down, have a family, and die. I want to teach. I want to teach theater. I like to direct. I like to act. But only on an amateur level. I never want to be paid for acting. I'm writing my dissertation on film actors of the 20s and 30s. I'm pretty much willing to do anything on camera. Not that jackass stuff. That's crazy talk. Well, actually, one of the things I like to do as a performer is shave my head in public. So one of the offers I want to make to the producers of the show High School Reunion is that I will shave my head on camera. It doesn't look like much now. But give it another 2 or 3 months, and there'll be a little bit of head in there. It's very dramatic. I think there should be more head shaving on television, quite frankly, beginning with our leaders. In terms of being me, or some version of me, I'm pretty comfortable with that, especially in Hawaii for 2 weeks. That's fine. I mean, Jesus, in Fresno for 2 weeks. Maybe not Fresno. I'm less angry. But I like who I am. I think I'm a good person. And I think I would feel like I'd want people to know that I haven't changed that much. I haven't become a Republican. I haven't sort of decided that, being rich and successful is the most important thing, because I was never like that. So I like being who I am. I guess I've broadened my worldview a little bit, and I would now be able to accept these people for who they actually are, as opposed to sort of the types that I thought that they were. And I think just as maybe I could accept people for who they are, maybe they could accept me for a little more for who I am, and start inviting me to, the cool parties and stuff. So I don't just drive around looking for them, which is what I did. Boy George, Culture Club. People walking around singing, "Do you really want to hurt me?" Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't really want to hurt them. See, that was the thing. You'd think that with all of my cynicism and anger I would have, but no, it was more about, no, I just want you to be quiet. That's the thing that people don't understand. Oh, the 80s must have been great because there was all that great music. No one was listening to the good music. Nobody was listening to The Cure and the Smiths, or, even like U2. No one was listening to U2. It was Wham! And Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Duran Duran. Oh, we had to play Wham songs in jazz band because that's what the kids wanted to hear. We had to play Wake Me Up Before You Go Go and Careless Whisper. Ugh.
As like a medley, or
no? Rock and Roll Girls by John Fogerty, Human League, Berlin. People were playing Wham. No one was listening to Talking Heads. I guess if I'd gone to high school about 6 years earlier, I would have been one of those really hardcore punk people, those really angry, anti-Reagan people. But that had died out by the time I got to high school, so I got to listen to Wham. That's it.